I would like to actually have each one of you introduce yourselves and explain why you're passionate about climate change and what you're doing to address this challenge of our generation.
Hi, my name is Paula Hernandez. I'm 17 years old, and I'm here representing Alliance for Climate of Education, which is located in New York City in Manhattan. My personal story has to do with the fact that I'm Mexican-American. And when a lot of people hear that, I remember when I was in middle school, a lot of people called me illegal. The stereotype, all the stereotypical names came out. And as a kid, I really was insecure about the fact that I was Mexican. But as I became more educated and more knowledgeable about my culture, I started to get more connected with who I really was. And because of all that hard work, I know that now I am a Latina female working hard to advocate for those in the country of Mexico. I remember when I went to Mexico last year during the summer, and my grandpa was diagnosed of diabetes, and my cousin was diagnosed with asthma. I don't know if any of you have been to Mexico recently, but there's a lot of air pollution in the city, especially in Mexico City. It got to the point where the government had to put laws up that stated that if you wanted to drive around that day in your vehicle, you had to have certain letters and numbers on your plate, on your license plate, to be able to drive around. And if you didn't have those numbers or letters, you can be fined. That was to reduce the amount of carbon dioxide being released because of the gas and the car emissions that they had, because the common family had about 2 cars, which, to be honest, I found unnecessary. But my connection to climate change has to do with a lot of my family in Mexico that is drastically being affected by climate change. I have more family in what we call El Campo, which is basically the forest, where there is a drought right now. My family that's located there lives off of what they plant. So if they can't plant anything, there's less food, and there's less water resources, which drastically affects everybody in my family over there, because a lot of them are sick. And in order for you to be strong and healthy, you need the right nutrients. So that's how I connect to climate change.
Thank you. So absolutely, the linkage between climate change, local pollution, and inspiration from a personal level. Over to you, Victoria.
So my name is Victoria Barrett. I'm 17 years old, like Paola, and I live in, I go to school in New York City with Paola, actually. We go to the same high school. I started working on the front lines of the climate movement in my freshman year of high school, working on climate education mandating in New York City, because I figured I can't get my peers to fight climate change if they don't know what it is. So that was the first step for me. Then I started working with the Alliance for Climate Education. They took me to COP21 in Paris, and I started learning about how the emissions that we release in the United States affects a lot of developing countries disproportionately. I got to meet the Minister of the Environment for the Maldives, and he gave me so much insight on how, even though I'm so far away, the actions that I take every day impact the people of his country. And I, from a young age, always have been really interested in justice and social justice. And when I first started learning about climate change, I didn't realize the applications that it had to issues of justice or society. But then I realized that the reason that it was the issue I wanted to focus on is because it doesn't abide by the false borders that we put up in society. It doesn't discriminate. It affects everyone in this way that people don't even recognize. And I think that I decided that I wanted to devote the time that I had in high school and the platform that had been provided me, speaking at the General Assembly and getting to go to Paris, to use those platforms to express to people why the actions that we take here in the United States every day doesn't just affect us. And it doesn't just affect the 8 million people in New York City or the 12 million people in New York State or the 300 million people in the United States. It affects the billions of people living on this earth. And I think that's what really impacted me to work towards climate advocacy and climate justice.
Hi, everyone. My name is Brian. I am a freshman now at American University, and I'm originally from Braintree, Massachusetts, just south of Boston. So when I was in elementary school, when I was a Cub Scout a long time ago, I found a passion for community service. And I realized that I really enjoyed helping other people and finding the best ways to do that. So that led me to an interest in politics that I developed throughout middle school and high school. And so when I was a junior in high school, I discovered the ACE Action Fellowship that we've all been a part of. And I applied to this program because, I had heard that climate change was, a problem, and I applied mostly to learn about things like advocacy and become, an activist and get those skills that would be crucial to a career in politics that I want to pursue. And then when I actually began the fellowship, that's when I realized just how severe of an issue climate change really is. It was just in the first few weeks of the fellowship that I learned how climate change affects literally every other issue in the world, and how it really is the defining issue of our time, because if you don't have a planet to live on, well, none of the other issues that we care about really matter. Climate change exacerbates every issue, whether it's hunger, poverty, women's rights, education, world peace. It's connected to everything. And so I'm really passionate about finding the best ways that I can to voice my opinions and help other people. And I've realized that people will listen to teenagers in the climate movement, and that this is a defining issue of our time, and it's a challenge we can't back down from.
Young people, this is our generation's challenge. We are already faced by the climate impacts. We've grown up with them. We've seen the oceans rise. We've seen more intense, more extreme weather phenomena. We've seen warming oceans, coral bleaching events. But this is also our generation's opportunity. And this is our time to redefine our future, to get involved in the jobs that are building that low-carbon future, to promote renewable energy, to build carbon smart, clean cities, to get involved in sustainable mobility and prevent deforestation. All those activities are on our table. So what is your message for young people out there? Paula. And let's keep it short and to the point.
I would say don't let a number define the volume of your voice. Yeah.
Thank you.
A message that I like to end speeches with and conversations with often, a message of optimism, is as the seas are rising, so are we.
Be confident and stay true to your values. I'm the shyest kid in the world, and before I became an ACE Action Fellow, I could never see myself getting up and advocating for what I believe in front of large groups of people like this. So be confident in yourself.
Thank you so very much. Very inspirational.